Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle, ranking member of the House Budget Committee and a member of the Ways and Means Committee. Welcome back to the show, Congressman. I think you're just about to head into a markup session. What are you expecting, and what's the Democratic strategy today?
Well, it's very simple. It's to expose this bill for what it is, a bill that will throw 13.7 million Americans off their health care coverage in order to help pay for tax cuts for billionaires. That's not me saying it. That's not any Democrat saying it. That is the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office that just recently, in the last 24 hours, confirmed those exact figures. Never before in American history, not even during the Great Depression, have we had an event or legislation that caused more than 10 million Americans to lose their health coverage. So this is truly historic, and for all the wrong reasons.
So I saw another preliminary estimate from the Congressional Budget Office that said it would reduce the number of people with health care over a decade overall by 8.6 million. It is millions of people for sure. Have you heard anything, sensed anything from your Republican colleagues that those numbers alone from the CBO are making them think twice?
One would think so, or one would hope so, but thus far we have not heard peep. We've only heard Republican colleagues of mine actually defending the Medicaid cuts, pretending that this is all, in their words, waste, fraud, and abuse. The only fraud that's going on is pretending like millions of Americans losing their health insurance is all due to them somehow defrauding the system. We intuitively know, and the American people know, that just isn't so.
So, Congressman, Republicans aren't wrong, right, about the cost of all of this and the projections about the number of people who are going to need Medicare or Medicaid, going to need long-term care. We know this. So can Democrats just say no to the cuts, or is there a kind of a long-term plan to make sure that this isn't something that keeps getting fought over year after year after year, given the number of people who are reaching retirement age?
You know, the reality is, ever since Medicare and Medicaid were created in the mid-1960s, there has been strong opposition from ideological conservatives. They simply do not believe that government should be providing things like Medicare and Medicaid, even though the fact of the matter is they are earned benefits. They're sometimes called entitlements, but the reality is people have out of their paycheck deducted with every single paycheck money they are contributing to the Medicare system. In terms of Medicaid, the reality is almost everyone who's on Medicaid is able-bodied and working. The only folks who aren't primarily are those with disabilities and who physically cannot work. So that is another part of the fraud that is going on, the argument, the phony argument that is being offered on the other side, that somehow this is about getting those who are lazy and not working to start working. The reality is, again, the Medicaid, especially the recent Medicaid expansion, was mostly due to adding the working poor onto the Medicaid rolls.
So let me ask about a critical fight among House Republicans. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive. You'll know what I'm talking about. I want to make sure that our viewers stay with us. This is what hasn't been worked out yet. It has to do with a cap on the deduction for state and local taxes known as SALT, right? It matters a great deal to blue state Republicans, especially from New York State, and they say they will not vote for this bill unless that cap is raised. And they have enough votes to sink this whole thing, as I understand it. But your Ways and Means Committee chairman is moving forward with this markup anyway. Do you think that this is in serious jeopardy?
Well, I have to say, it's not just New York and New Jersey, by the way, also California, parts of the Philadelphia area, parts of Chicago area, a number of places where really the original Trump so-called tax cuts 8 years ago were actually a tax increase for a lot of middle-class homeowners because they were no longer able to fully deduct their state and local income taxes. So there are Republicans in those areas I just outlined that say they will hold out and not vote for the bill. I have to say, based on previous votes I've seen around here, once Trump gets on the phone and yells at them, they tend to fold. That has been the case over and over again with every previous vote we've had where there have been Republican holdouts. So will this actually be the first time we really see some Republican members stick to their guns? I'm a little bit doubtful.
It is going to be fascinating to watch how this unfolds, and the stakes are incredibly high. Congressman Brendan Boyle, appreciate you coming back on the show.